Hi, I'm Sylvia, an arbitrator, mediator, and attorney located in Houston, Texas, serving as a neutral in cases all around the country. Thank you for clicking on mediation and arbitration. Today, I want to talk about how to spot a melting ice cube case. Perhaps more so than in any other dispute, a melting ice cube case is a situation where the best outcome for each participant is a consensual outcome for all participants. So what is a melting ice cube case? A melting ice cube case is a case that involves some value, any kind of value, that is diminishing. So most disputes have at their core a fight over value, a fight over money, a fight over property, a fight over contract terms, a fight over enforcing a contract or cessation of activities, or a myriad of other things. In a melting ice cube case, that value that people are fighting over is melting. It's diminishing. And what this means is that every tick of the clock means that there is less value to be shared amongst the parties or pushed across the table to one side versus the other. It is a situation of diminishing value. Melting ice cube cases are very common in large Chapter 11 bankruptcy cases. This is something that is talked about in those situations. But you can actually have melting ice cube cases in pretty much any forum and any context. At the root of it is one, that you have a diminishing or melting value, asset, commodity, whatever it may be, that everybody is fighting over. And two, that ultimately the parties are either going to sink or swim together. If they keep just fighting and fighting and fighting, there will ultimately be nothing left because the ice cube will have melted. Melting ice cube cases are perfect candidates for mediation. That's why I'm talking about it today on mediation and arbitration. The reason they're perfect candidates for mediation is because everybody is focused on this one shared value, this thing that everybody is interested in having a piece of or fighting over how it gets divided. And they are all watching it diminish and shrink and shrink and shrink. And so it's a perfect candidate for mediation because everybody recognizes the urgency. Everybody has a shared interest in an expeditious and cost-effective outcome. And everybody is motivated to come to the table to find a resolution. Now, that does not mean that a melting ice cube case is easy to resolve, but it does mean that everybody comes with a shared motivation of trying to find a path to resolution to preserve value. So sometimes it's hard to conceptualize these things. So I'm going to use today this book. This is Rachel Bright and Jim Field's The Squirrels Who Squabbled. It's a children's story, but it's a perfect illustration of a melting ice cube. Now, in this case, the ice cube is actually a pine cone. The two main characters are squirrels, Spontaneous Cyril and Plan Ahead Bruce. Now, you may have picked up from their names that they have different personalities. Winter is coming. Spontaneous Cyril really has not stored up much food for winter. Plan Ahead Bruce, on the other hand, has stored a lot, but he feels like he needs just a little bit more. Each of them spot the very last pine cone of the season. It is wedged in the nook of the branch of a tree. They both see it, and they each race to seize the pine cone. But as they are scurrying up the branch, it knocks the pine cone from the tree. The pine cone goes bouncing through the forest, resting at the top of a cliff. And as they race up the cliff to seize the pine cone, it topples over the cliff, plunging down into the rapids below. Not to be deterred, Spontaneous Cyril and Plan Ahead Bruce dive in after the pine cone, diving into the rapids below. swimming to try and be the first to seize, to grasp, to possess this pine cone. They are so focused on getting the pine cone that they are oblivious to the waterfall up ahead. They are also oblivious to the bird that flies over them, swoops down, takes the pine cone, and then they plunge to the base of the waterfall. Now they have no pine cone and they are drowning. Luckily, Cyril manages to grab onto a branch and he grabs Bruce with his other hand and they pull themselves to safety. They have survived. They are grateful to be alive. They become friends. They have no pine cone, but they agree to share. Now they had a happy ending. But what's the lesson to be learned here that teaches us about mediation and about how to approach a melting ice cube case? Had Bruce and Cyril worked together from the start, then they could have ended up with their friendship, their health, and the pine cone. And they could have divided that pine cone up in a myriad of ways. Instead, they have no pine cone and they each barely survived. The same is true in a melting ice cube case. Either the parties find some way to share, some way to maximize the value they are fighting over, or everyone risks losing it all. Thank you for joining me today. Please connect with me on LinkedIn or subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you have any questions or comments, please comment below.